Hi, I'm Reed Pettengill. I'm here at Durastill in Kansas City, Missouri. This is how you receive your distiller. It is in 2 boxes, and I'm going to show you how to unpackage it. It's in 2 boxes so it doesn't get damaged in any way. I've never seen one damaged yet. So when you order your distiller, it comes to your home. This is how it comes. Now, if you've ordered a 30H or a 30J or a 46C, they're all the same box. They're all the same dimensions, and this is all the only way they're packaged. We'll open the outside box and undo it. You raise it up and get this flap underneath. And you tip it up. When you get it to this position, you just lift the top box off, and you'll see that it's got another box underneath it, just like the top one, except it fits inside of it. You get that off and set that aside. And you'll see on the box arrows that say this side up. Well, that's good and fine while you're shipping it, but while you're undoing it, I always like to flip it so it says this side up is down, and I open the bottom. And I do that because it's so well taped inside there and suspended in that box that it's hard to get out from the top. But it's really easy to get out from the bottom, so I'll show you how you do that. You just do it exactly the same way as we did before. And you flip all the sides back down, you tip it like that, and then you tip it so it says this side up. And then you lift your lid off, and there's your distiller and all your parts right there. And that's the easiest way to get it out of the box. I know, I've done hundreds of them. This is the back side of the distiller. This foam protection comes on the distiller that they wrap it with. This is one of the most well packaged things you'll ever get in the mail. So what you do is you quickly take the foam off by cutting the tapes that hold it down to the packaging mount, and you just lift that up over the top, and you be careful you don't scratch it in any way with your razor knife. These wing nuts right here, you just undo those and all this foam comes off. If you just slide that like that and pull that out, and the lid's upside down on it, you take the lid out and put it over here, and then all the foam comes out. Now this is very important, this next step. You take this wing nut clear off right here. A lot of people forget about this. There's a piece of cardboard down in there holding the float from bouncing around during shipping. And that holds it. Now there's also a piece of cardboard in there underneath it, and you pull that out, or you may have a little fire when you turn your heating element on, or you'll have your boiling chamber full of wet paper. So you pull these 2 things out of the boiling chamber when you unpackage it. When you open it up and pull that off, you have a sample of Still Clean and your warranty and all your manual right there in a package. And you save that. Do not discard that. You'll be needing that. Now you'll notice on the back of this distiller is a plug, and this is an automatic distiller, so it has a water inlet tube, and that's right there. It's just like in the back of your refrigerator. It's an 1/8 inch OD line, and you plumb that into your water supply after your pre-filter. There's a package of legs that comes with this. There's also a lid knob. We'll open that up. You put your cross brace on top of your lid, and you screw your knob on top of that. Just like that. Very simple. You put your wing nut back on the top. You don't have to have the wing nuts clear off to put the lid on, because the lid goes down and it slides sideways and then back and locks. Give it a slight little turn on the lid So the lid turns just a little bit before you seal it down. Then you tighten it down, and your lid's got a tight seal on it, and it will have for the lifetime of your distiller if you do it that way at first. Now, if you're putting this on a tank, you are, because this one is an automatic. So if it's a 10-gallon tank, you don't put these legs on it. But if it's the 25-gallon tank, you put the legs on it, and they just screw onto these bolts on the bottom of your distiller. You can adjust the level with these legs so that it doesn't wobble. You just screw the leg on the bottom in a counterclockwise motion until it's just barely snug is all it takes. Just lift it up and tilt it back. Now you have your distiller out of the box with the legs on it. Okay, this kit comes in your distiller. It has 50 feet of plastic line to hook your water up. Has a saddle valve to clamp onto a pipe in your home somewhere. And it hooks onto this water inlet on the back side, and the fittings are provided in this bag to hook it all up. Also in line is this pre-filter. All the fittings are with that. It filters the water before it goes into the boiling chamber. So you put it somewhere in this line, wherever you want it, where it's easy to access. And this pre-filters your water. It takes the chlorine out and other things that a carbon filter can take out. Okay, there's also a post-filter kit, and you open it up and you pull out the post-filter, and this is where the post-filter goes, is in between the distiller and the tank. If there was a tank here, this little bracket sticks on top of the tank, and the post-filter sits in the bracket on top of the tank. This tube goes from the distiller to the filter, and these two elbows hook to the filter, and one goes into the tank and one goes onto the hose, and I'll show you how to put that together. If you take your distiller and gently turn it on its back so it can rest, it'll rest on the cord and the inlet, but this is where you hook your tube up. Now this is where a lot of people get stumped because they don't understand it at first because they've never seen a distiller. But this right here is where the distilled water comes out. So you put your tube hooked to that, and it's kind of a tricky thing to get on there because it fits tight, and you push it over the top of the stainless steel pipe. It takes a little effort to get on there, and you wiggle it around like around in a circle till it goes up on about a half an inch. Half an inch is fine. And then you slide your clamp over the top of your hose, and you tighten that up with a screwdriver right there so it doesn't come off. Okay, you'll notice on your filter there's some arrows that point the direction of the flow of the water. So we want to hook up the distiller to this side because that's the side the inlet is, and you just take a knife and pop the back off, and you pick up the elbow that's got barbs on it on this side. The other one hasn't got any barbs on the bottom of it. That's so it can fit inside the tank. Now these two nylon 90s, one's a hose barb on each end, but you'll notice one of them has the barbs clear out to the end. The other one has the first two hose barbs ground down and off. If you can see that, they're not there. It's important that you get the one that's smooth on the end on the exit side of the filter, because this end goes down in the tank. So just so you don't have to backtrack and undo it again, and this will save you time if you watch this and see how it goes in. But the smooth 90 goes to the outside where the out comes on the filter, the exit side of the filter. The first thing you do is screw the 90 into the filter, get it quite tight, and then you just push the filter onto this plastic line, and these hose barbs will hold this on there. It doesn't need it's no clamp required for that, and I won't push it all the way on because we're just demonstrating here. Then the other one just screws into the filter. You got to take the plug out. And this is how you change your filter. You should change your filter about once every 6 months in normal use. And so you know this is how you do it. And you can always order a new kit for your filter. And that's how it goes. Say this was your distiller tank. This goes on top of your distiller tank. And your filter lays in here like this. And this goes down in the hole in your tank, and that has a peel and stick cover right there, and that sticks to your tank. So get it adjusted where you want it before you stick it down. And then your distiller fits on top of your tank like such. And that's how the filter sets in as you're putting your distiller together. All your automatics are like this, the 30J and the 46C. They have the automatic water fill. They have an automatic shutoff on a tank. We're going to show you that. Today we're going to show you how to unbox a 40-liter storage tank. This is 40 liter is actually 10 gallons. Just like all the other things you get from Durastill, it's double boxed, so it won't be damaged in shipping. So I'll show you how to get that out. You cut the tapes and open it up. You open up all the flaps and tip it up. You tip it up again and pull the other flap around, and then you can just raise this box up off it. Maybe. I don't know why that's stuck. There we go. It's got to get air in there to come off. I got some suction. There we go. Now you take the tank out. This is exciting to see a 10-gallon tank because they're so pretty, and they have a nice set of legs and casters that go with them. You take out your legs, they come in a package wrapped in paper to protect everything. And then you get your tank out. Pull your casters out. On both sides. Then you get your tank out. They're very well boxed. Now that's a 10-gallon tank, and it has cardboard bolted onto it, so you take your nut driver and you undo the nuts that holds the cardboard on. So you undo these nuts, it's holding the cardboard on, which is packaging. And these are galvanized washers and nuts. I save these nuts and bolts because they bolt the casters onto the bottom of the machine. What you'll put back on here is stainless steel nuts and washers, so they'll never rust. And they're provided in the packaging. And there you are. That's one side. You do the other side. And there's your tank. And keep it right there. Here's all your nuts and bolts. Here's your instructions. It shows you how to put all the parts onto the tank. The first thing we do is get the legs out and the cross members. And they're wrapped up so they won't get scratched. And what you get in each one of these package is you get a bottom plate that goes right on the here. You get a top one that goes right on here. You get the legs that go here. And you find the stainless steel washer. These stainless steel washers go right on these bolts that are welded into the tank. And the nut has a cap on it. Really a pretty finish. Once you get that on, you just tighten it up. And it looks just like that. You do that 4 times. So you find the other 3 washers. And you stick them on. The other leg, you'll notice the short part of the leg goes to the top. Like that. So I have to open the other package. So it's got 2 right hand legs in the one side, so I got to open the other package.
These would be awesome. After we get the distiller, we can just send them a video and they can know how to put it together.
Yeah. It's best to open up both sets of legs because there's left hand and right hand parts on each side. And you find the other leg that corresponds with this side, because it'll have holes on this side like this one does this side, so it's just a mirrored image to it. Then you put on another washer on this side. Just like that. You get your other stainless steel nut on there. And that's pretty. We'll put the last one on the bottom. Now we'll snug those all up with a nut driver. And we'll turn it around and do the same on the other side. It's nice to have a table you can hang the legs down over to do this with. Or you can just tip it on its back like this. And you do just what you did on the other side. I can't do it that way because the table's too narrow to hang these legs down over the other side. So you put these on the same way as you did the other side. This one goes on the bottom. You locate your 4 stainless steel washers and nuts. You put them on just like you did before. Snug it up a little bit. Put the top leg on. Everything fits so nice. That's really hard to do when you're welding stainless steel tanks together and keep it all from warping and being out of line, but these guys do a perfect job at it. Snug them up. Now we're ready to tip it up on its legs. You want to remove this nut that's on the lid.
Customers on the phone, you'll send them a code, and I got the phone number. You can get to 1108-11. She said she's ready to get those machines.
And you replace this nut. You screw the cap on the nut. You don't screw it clear down tight. And then there's a cross member there that holds the lid on the tank. So you continue tightening the cap down till the lid comes tight, and then you're sealed. That keeps everything out of your water. Remember, when you unpackage your distiller, you need to unwrap this foam tape that's around your float switch in your tank. If you don't do that, it won't shut on and off. Take it clear off, and then make sure that you can hear the switch turning on and off, and it slides freely. So it didn't get bent during shipping or anything like that. Okay, the next thing we're going to do after we reach this point is unwrap the casters and cut the tape. This really makes a nice setup for a 10-gallon tank. It's really modern looking. It's really beautiful. You raise the distiller up and put these legs right there like that. Now what you do is you just raise one side of your distiller up and line the holes up with that and kind of set it there and keep it balanced. Turn the wheel so it'll hold itself there. And then you might be wondering what this angle's for. It slides in here like this, and that's a cross brace. And you take a bolt, and it goes up through the bottom. Okay, you take a bolt and you push it up through the hole in the bottom, and you get it through the angle iron here, the cross member. You hold that there and you put one of your washers that held the cardboard on top of that nut. You take your other cross member and you put it in right there, line it up, take another bolt and push it up through the bottom and line it up with the leg and the cross member. Put a washer on it. These are the washers and bolts that held the cardboard on the side of the distiller when you unpackaged it, so don't discard them. You tighten that down kind of snug because we've still got to line the other side up. You don't want it really tight yet. Now we'll move over to the other side after we unpackage this next set of casters. Everything's so nice and shiny and beautiful. Now what we do is raise this side up, set it right on top of the casters. We already got our braces in here. We just take another nut or bolt and shove it up through the hole. Line it all up. Put another washer on. A nut. Just get it started. Okay, we put a bolt in the back side just like in all the others. Comes up and we put a washer on it. And we put a nut on it. Now we got them all on, we can tighten them down tight. We'll grab our nut driver and just tighten them all up. And there you go, you got your casters on. Okay, when you get to this point, you got your casters on. The whole thing's very easy to move. You can move it with two little fingers. You got your brace on the top of your tank and on the bottom so all the welds don't show. And you've got your leg going down here. It looks like one continuous piece of metal. And as far as the tank goes, it's really beautiful. You got your cross braces on down here on top of the nuts, and your legs are on. So next thing we do is we set it down on the floor. You take the lid off by unscrewing this knob, It goes sideways and cocks it up so you can get it off. You unpackage the spout. This is a really nice spout because it has a sight glass in it, and it shows you the level of your water in your holding tank. There's a square plastic knob on the top of it, and that secures the sight glass to the top of the tank. Just like all the other faucets on these tanks, you put the rubber gasket on the outside over the threads until it goes to the back. That's far enough. Okay, the thing you do is you put your faucet into the hole, and then this is the hardest job of all, getting your hand in the hole and your arm reaching down there, but I got a very big arm. And you put the nut on the back side of the faucet. Get it started. Make sure you get it started without stripping it or getting it cross-threaded. You get it down here like this, and then you raise it up and tighten it. You make sure you can get it tight enough that it makes that seal. Do not tighten it up so tight with the sight glass you break the sight glass off. You want to turn it just like that on the bottom with your hand. And now the nuts on the back, really good. Raise this plastic key or lock up, whatever you want to call it, and you slide it into this groove right here on the tank. That locks in the sight glass, and now you can see the level of the water inside your tank, your holding tank. And this is where you spigot out your water out of the little faucet. Now we just reinstall the lid and tighten it down. You lift up on the lid as you tighten it, and that brings it into so where it's tight and it secures that lid on there. You find this little piece of flared pipe. It's got a flared end on it here and a straight end here, and you insert it into the hole in the top of the tank and let it sit there until you get your distiller on, and then I'll show you what that's for. Okay, we put the tank back up on a table so you can see what we're doing here. Okay, what you do is you take your distiller, some help with somebody, you line up all the nuts and bolts and they go together. Make sure it seats down inside like that so it comes together. What you want to do is make sure these bolts and nuts go inside the hole in the top of that angle iron, and it seats down, it sits flat just like that. Beautiful. It's a beautiful fit. Now you turn it around to the back side. Now that steamer tube we put in the tank goes up onto the pipe where the distilled water comes out of, and that's how you steam clean your tank. You just plug it in now, fill it with water, get it boiling, and turn your fan off. When you turn your fan off, water doesn't come out of here, steam comes out of here. And it'll heat your tank up, and it's the same as autoclave. Now you know the distiller doesn't plug into the wall, it plugs into the float switch, which is on top of your tank. I've had people plug this into the wall and their distiller leaks, and they wonder why. Well, it never shuts off. And then you plug this into the wall. Here's your float switch, and it turns the water on, the distiller on and off. If the tank's full, it shuts the distiller off. If it goes down a little bit, it turns the distiller back on. and makes the water it needs to fill up that 10-gallon tank. Now with the steamer tube in the tank, you want to have it automatically fill, but what you want to do is turn the fan switch off to the off position. And in about 25 minutes, the boiling chamber will be boiling and you'll be pushing steam into this tank. After it gets hot, let it stay hot for 10 minutes. That'll kill any bacterium, virus, or parasite that's in that tank. After the tank has been hot and steaming for 10 minutes, you turn the fan switch back on and it'll immediately start making water. After you've run your distiller for approximately an hour, after you've cleaned it, drain that water out. Drain that first half-gallon to 3/4 gallon of water out. It doesn't even hurt if you run a gallon of water out. Discard that first water. Now with your fan switch off, the distiller blows straight steam into the empty tank. With the fan switch on, it makes water. It cools the steam into water. So what we want to do is sterilize this tank, so we will leave the fan switch off, which will cause this tank to heat up the same temperature as boiling water, 212 degrees. By doing that, we just simply switch this fan switch off and then it blows steam. After the tank's brought up to temperature, the thing you do then is you wait 10 minutes and let it cook for 10 minutes. And then you turn on the fan switch. It immediately starts cooling the steam, so everything will start to cool down immediately. You'll start making water. It'll be hot at first and then it'll cool right down to room temperature. And then you insert the filter. Never put steam through a filter, it ruins it. So after you autoclave your distiller out, you clean you steam clean your tank, your new tank, you put a filter in line. Okay, after you've steamed your tank out, you remove the steamer tube by pulling it down, and then you just caulk it off to one side and pull it out. You have your filter ready, and you slide it in. And you put your poly tube up on the distiller outlet. It's really important to not ever run steam through your post filter, so make sure you always have your fan on from now on. After you get your poly tube back up on there, you bring your clamp around and you tighten your clamp up on that fitting so that it doesn't come off. And then because you have your elbow there on your filter, you stick it down in the hole and you flatten out the washer, and then you peel the sticky back off this clamp that holds the filter in, and you stick it right there, and then you're ready to go. You might wonder what this long tube is for. It's to drain your boiling chamber. It attaches right here and it goes up into there. Make sure you fill it, go clear up in, and then you tighten up this compression fitting. It's a 5/8 nut, and you tighten it up till it is secure on your drain tube. Now this drains your boiling chamber. You can kind of flare this out into something to catch it. And that's where all the This stuff comes out of your water when you drain your boiling chamber.